Rated M for mature.
Midsummer Isle may be filled with ancient secrets, terrifying creatures, and dangers around every corner, but there are plenty of hidden Easter eggs to find as well. Whether it's lake monsters, aliens, or tiny gnomes, we've got you covered. Here are some of the best Easter eggs from Atomfall's first DLC, Wicked Isle. We'll also be covering some of our favourite Easter eggs from the base game that never got their time to shine in our videos. Let us know in the comments which ones are your favourite. We all know about the Loch Ness Monster in Scotland, but there's a similar cryptid that can only be found in Lake Windermere in England, called Bow Nessie. In Atomfall, you can actually get a glimpse of this mysterious creature on Midsummer Isle. Head to the observatory north of the fishing village you arrive at when starting your journey on the isle. Climb to the top and look over the balcony. You may get to see Bow Nessie swimming across the water. Make sure to take a picture in photo mode, although people may not believe you actually saw it, even with proof. Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons was a super marionation sci-fi show in the late 60s that followed the titular Captain Scarlet and his efforts to stop the Martian Mysterons from destroying the Earth. This conflict was started during the events of the film Thunderbirds Are Go, and it seems that even in Atomfall, these alien beings have their sights set on Midsummer Isle. In the show, the Mysterons project 2 green circles to announce their presence, and you can find these on the island. Head to the northernmost part of Midsummer Isle, and you will come to an old barred research bunker. Work your way to the back of this area to see a large fence. There are several dangers you can come across while exploring this location, but if you can make it to the northwest corner and go behind the building, you will see the 2 green circles on the ground. They will move around this area until you get too close, which causes them to slowly disappear. Tiny gnome statues are a staple across several Rebellion games, and Atomfall is no exception. Throughout Wyndham Village, you can find multiple of these little gnome statues hidden among the buildings, which we covered in a previous Easter egg video. However, the villagers are not the only ones who seem to be obsessed with these figures. During your journey on Midsummer Isle, you can find several of these gnomes placed across the entire island. One can be found on the first phone box you encounter in the abandoned fishing village, while another can be found on the railing at the top of the observatory, where you have the Bow Nessie sighting mentioned earlier. Keep an eye out for even more of these little statues, as there may be something to achieve by smashing them into pieces. Digging up hidden caches using the metal detector in Atomfall can yield some really interesting finds. Several of these buried caches are Easter egg lunchboxes referencing old comics from the 50s and 60s. Well, it seems that someone on Midsummer Isle was a fan, as you can find 2 of those lunchboxes while exploring. On the easternmost side of the island is the infested forest. It is filled with druids and plants that will attack you on sight, so proceed with caution. Along the coast of the forest area, you can spot a lone Triffid. Defeat it, and you'll be able to use your metal detector on the ground behind where it was. This will give you the John Steele comic lunchbox of the Demon Drums. The other lunchbox is no walk in the park to find either. Head to the north side of Midsummer Isle, behind the Abbey ruins. Here you will see an old barred bunker in the distance, but this is not where you need to look. Instead, turn to the right and follow the beach to a cave opening. Pay close attention to the water, as several things lurk within and can end your search before it even begins. Once in the cave, stick to the left wall, and you will eventually reach a small area not underwater. Use your metal detector here to find the John Steele comic lunchbox of the Rising Tide. Just like the lunchboxes, you can find actual comics from the Thriller Picture Library hidden around the quarantine zone, and Midsummer Isle is no exception. To reach the island, you need to talk to Bill Anderson in Wyndham Village so he can give you a lift on his boat. Once on Midsummer Isle, he will ask you to meet him in a hidden cellar. Upon locating the cellar and entering, you can go to the room in the back to find the comic of Rip Kirby and the Case of the Man from Nowhere on a table. If you find yourself among the lake bandits in their base, you can find another comic stashed away in Gene Hammer's room. To get past the door, you will need either Gene's key, which you will not give up easily, or find a hidden path filled with poisonous gas. Whichever path you choose, it won't be simple. One wrong move, and the entire bunker of bandits will turn on you. Once inside, the comic of Rick Random and the Space Pirates can be found on the table near the stairs. We've talked about several of the new Easter eggs that can be found in the Wicked Isle story expansion, but there are some honourable mentions in the other areas of Atomfall that we didn't cover in our previous Easter egg videos. Make your way to the church in Wyndham Village, and then follow the stairs to the basement. Once there, turn left and head to the coffins. One of these will have the name George Stobart, which is a name the fans of 90s point-and-click adventure games may recognise as the main protagonist of the Broken Sword franchise. If you are a fan of British comedy shows like we are, then you may be familiar with Only Fools and Horses. One particular episode has the brothers trying to safely remove a chandelier from the ceiling by using a large cloth. This does not go to plan, and the wrong chandelier crashes to the ground instead. You can find a reference to this scene in Datlow Hall, found in the Casterfell Woods. Approaching the manor will let you spot a James Bond Easter egg that we mentioned in a previous video. But for this one, enter through the front door. Head into the dining room, and you will see a broken chandelier on the ground near the end of the table. At least this one had the cloth under it. For those familiar with old comics from the 50s and 60s, similar to what we mentioned earlier, you may recognise Dan Dare, Pilot of the Future. In Atomfall, you can find a letter that Dan's sidekick, Albert Digby, wrote to him about flying a helicopter. To locate this, head to the Skethermore region and look for the downed helicopter near Brinsop Manor. Inside is the note to Dan from Digby. One of the inspirations behind Atomfall was the Quatermass experiment. In this film, Bernard Quatermass awaits the return of the first humans in space, only to find that something terrible has happened to the crew, as one of them slowly transforms into an alien monster. To find this Easter egg in Atomfall, you will need to progress through the interchange until you have access to the medical department. When reaching the end of this area, you can find a note signed BQ that references the events of that movie. Minecraft is a game known to just about anyone who's ever heard of video games, so here at Rebellion, we wanted to add a small Easter egg to reference it. In Slattendale, make your way toward the outlaw camp. There are several groups of outlaws on the way there, so be extra cautious. When you're nearing the camp, look to the right and you can see a minecart outside near a door leading to the slate mines. If you inspect the cart closely, you can find the words, "Don't dig straight down." This is a reference to the extra danger of lava or a large cavern beneath you which would cause you to die. There are plenty of things in the quarantine zone that can make that happen for you already, so it would be best to heed this advice. Lastly, once you've progressed far enough into the interchange, you may come across this office area. It is filled with ferals and other potential dangers, so you will need to tread carefully. Toward the end of this area, there's a room with a locked door. To gain access to it, head back into the office area, go into the corner by the windows, and crawl through the opening at the bottom of the wall. Once you emerge, you'll be greeted with a poster that looks very similar to the cover art for Sniper Elite 4. How many Easter eggs have you found in Atomfall? Let us know in the comments below. Wicked Isle DLC is available now for purchase. This story expansion is available to Deluxe and Quarantine Edition owners, as well as a separate purchase for those who hold the Standard Edition. Atomfall is available on Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 consoles. For PC players, Atomfall is available on Steam, the Epic Games Store, Windows PC and the Xbox app for PC.